Yes, what's happening, people? Hope you're well. Listen, thought I'd do a show today talking about some of the commotion from yesterday and what people are now saying about Arsenal Football Club and where we're at and what the changes have been since we've come back from Dubai, because it looks a little bit similar to the Arsenal of last season in some of our play. And hopefully, some of the results will continue from there. So, I want to do a little bit of momentum and chats about what we think has gone well and what we think is different, and look at why some of the fan base, some of the neutrals, opposition fans are now just a little bit quiet about Arsenal. Maybe they're a little bit worried. Maybe they're a little bit scared. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're very, very close to 16K, and we want to hit our target very soon, which is the next one of 20K. So please make sure you're part of the community. If you do want one of these canvases, please make sure that you go into the link in the description and go to the Instagram chat of Russell Hogg Photography, message him, tell him you're a gooner, say Dan Potts sent you, and you'll get one of them canvases to put on your wall. Make sure you check out Bread and Honey Bets as well, and make sure that you do check out Football Prizes, who we've now partnered with, as the sponsors for the channel. Go over to their website and make sure that you go and check out some of the amazing prizes on offer. The raffle prizes, the tickets are so cheap, and what you can win in terms of memorabilia and signed memorabilia and shirts is absolutely incredible. So make sure that you do that. Also, a lot of people have been asking, this is the answer. 8 p.m. tonight, Race for Europe show. Dan Lawless will be on Getting Cooked. Special guest appearance from Tobes, who was asked to come on as well. That will be fun. So trust me, set your reminders. 8 p.m. this evening. Do not miss that, people. That is going to be an absolutely elite lit panel, lit discussions, and absolute cooking for West Ham and, of course, Dan Lawless. So make sure that you are there for that. Big up to everybody that is in the chat nice and early. I really appreciate you all being here. Big up to Tristan. Big up to Junior Gunner. Big up to Steve. Big up to Ola. Big up to Anib. Big up to But Lightyear, absolutely love that. Big up to TKA as well. Thank you all for joining us. And nice to see you here so early. Big up to Chris. Big up to Lee Gunner as well, man. Big up to yourself. Listen, let's talk a little bit about Arsenal, shall we? Because I see a lot of people talking about how Arsenal are scary and how Arsenal worry people. It's so up and down, isn't it? Because 1 minute the fan base is saying that we're in an absolute mess and that top four is the answer this season. Arsenal ain't winning anything. It ain't looking good. And then all of a sudden, we look a little bit different after a trip to Dubai and people start talking completely different about us, how we're definitely in a title race and we could sneak it. We might be in a position. And it's very, very funny that you beat Liverpool and you're being told to calm down by Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. And then you look yesterday and we beat West Ham convincingly, and Gary Neville's like, Arsenal got a chance. It's just like all over the place with analysis. It really is. And I'm kind of laughing at it now. Arsenal need to keep doing their business, because what it's doing is it's shutting everybody up. And I actually really like it when we're written off. I like it when Arsenal have absolutely no pressure and it's like they won't do anything. We're great with that. When the pressure comes to us, we crumble. And I feel that if we've got any chance this season of doing anything, then it needs to be with the pressure off. Our pressure needs to be completely off. Liverpool City, Liverpool City, Liverpool City. Oh, Arsenal have snuck and they've won it. And I kind of used the analogy a couple of weeks ago on my fan cam. I think it was against Liverpool, where I was asked the question, do Arsenal look better when they're actually not in the race and then they step up last minute and go for it, sneak up on people, or is it's ours to lose? And I use the analogy of the Formula One a few seasons ago. It's quite a long time ago now, in 2007, 2008 season, where Lewis Hamilton come onto the scene at McLaren with Alonso, and it was who's going to win, Alonso or Lewis Hamilton. They were fighting all the way. And in the end, Kimi Raikkonen won it. And Kimi Raikkonen won it because it was someone that really had absolutely no pressure on him in the Ferrari and was just there or thereabouts. And I wonder if Arsenal have any chance of winning this season. Maybe they might have to be in that kind of mold where they're just behind the likes of Liverpool and Man City, and then sneak up behind everyone and go for it. But listen, ultimately, Arsenal's squad is not strong enough, which we're going to come on to in a minute, because that bench yesterday, imagine if it was 0-0 with 10 minutes to go and we're looking to bring someone on. We got Cedric, we got El Neni, you got Jorginho, Badara, whoever that is. You've got obviously Raw Waters and Ethan Waneri, who, to be fair, when Waneri did come on, it looked okay. That isn't good enough to be winning. You've got Eddie and Reese as well that come on. Absolutely crazy. Where's Lee, Dan? Did he lose his ticket? Make sure you go check out Lee Judge's TV last night. Literally, the first few minutes of Lee's story is well worth a listen to, man. It's absolutely crazy what happened to him yesterday before the ground. It is an incredible story. So make sure you go to Lee Judge's TV, check out the latest video from last night with me and him, and just listen to, if you don't listen to it all, just listen to the first 5 minutes of that. It is absolutely crazy what happened to Lee Judges. Scary, scary, scary stuff, but really weird that there is fate still in this world that people believe in. And you listen to that story, it's crazy, man. It really is. Let's talk about what's changed. We went to Dubai after being pretty down in the dumps. We had lost to West Ham at home. We'd lost to Fulham away, and everybody was cheering Happy New Year. But we went out the FA Cup. And those three results really hurt Arsenal fans and kind of give us a little bit of deja vu and PTSD in terms of we've seen this before. And Arsenal have clusters, don't they? They have cluster results. They don't just lose one and then bounce back straight away. They lose a few. Now, we've done this for quite a while now. If you remember in Mikel Arteta's first full season after winning the FA Cup, we lost to Burnley, Leicester, Wolves and Villa all at the Emirates. And we looked really, really poor. We were the absolute whipping boys. And there was games where we weren't even being whipped but still losing. Burnley 1-0, Wolves 2-1. Villa absolutely pumped us. Cluster results. Then we went on a nice little run afterwards when Emil Smith-Rowe and Martinelli and Saka were brought into the team against Chelsea. And then we went on a little run and everyone forgotten about it. We did the same thing the season after where we bottled top four. We lost, if you remember, to Brighton, Southampton and Palace in a row. And that ruined it for us. Then the following season, we bottled the title where we ended up drawing 3 games against Liverpool, West Ham and Southampton. And then towards the back end of the season, if you remember last time, we lost to Brighton and Forest. We never ever lose a game and then go, right, boom, 5 games in a row wins. So that worries me because it means that that's probably going to happen again. Now, I don't believe that you just have one blip with this side. I believe we have a couple because every season we've seen a couple of blips. But Manchester City and Liverpool don't have many blips. In fact, they haven't really had one yet. Man City, people called it a blip. They lost Rodri for a couple of games, went out of the Carabao Cup, which they didn't really want anyway because they went and won the Super Cup and obviously Club World Cup. And then you had the Wolves result. I think they drew another one after that, but I can't remember. But they've had their little cluster. I don't think they're going to do it. I looked at the back end of the season and Man City got some very, very winnable games. Very winnable. But Arsenal have got some winnable games right now. So we hit Dubai. We had a little bit of a chill. We had some warm weather training and we actually had an opportunity to rest up and to look at what was going wrong. And I must say that since the return, we've actually seen some improvements. Not just our style of play, but we've tweaked quite a lot. We've looked at our set pieces. We've looked at our style of play, but also our positional play. We've looked at trying to change some personnel in terms of who they're going to pick, but also how they're going to play and where they're going to play. And I've started to see improvements individually, but also in departments of the team. And our midfield and our strikers, or front three, as people would call it, has definitely looked so much better once in possession. So let's start with the set pieces, because Nicolas Jover definitely deserves a lot of credit. He kind of disappeared, and I was calling out for him, going, where is he? I don't really see him at games. I don't really see him on the sidelines as much. Our set pieces are a shambles. And it really was kind of worrying because we started to score from set pieces in the start of this season. I think we had around about 7 or 8 goals from corners and free kicks. And then they went really dried up and they were dead. And Trossard was taking these corners that weren't even beating the first man. Then over the other side, it would be Saka or Martinelli doing it. And I'm thinking, they can't beat the first man either. We must have been trying something that was not working in training, right? And then we went away and we actually looked at it. And I want to say big up to 2 people. I want to say big up to Nicolas Jover for actually allowing Declan Rice to get on the free kicks and corners because he can deliver, mate. That ball to Gabriel yesterday was pinpoint, mate. If that was Beckham, everyone would be raving about it. It was an unbelievable free kick. Great corners he's been taking now. That's 3 corners he's taken where we've scored from. Yeah. And I think the stat in match of the day was we've scored since Dubai. We've scored 4 or 5 goals from corners in their 12 goals that we've scored or something crazy like that. It was like amazing stat, right? Set pieces are so underrated in football, man. They're a massive part of the game. And if you can score from set pieces, what that does against teams with a low block is it prevents you having to pass it around 50 times to try and get it through them. If you actually have someone on set pieces that can whip the ball in and score, like we did against West Ham, their low block goes to shit because they've got to come out and fight now. Now, that's what should have happened in some of the other games that we've played against teams with low blocks where we've struggled. Let's say Fulham, for example. Let's say West Ham at the Emirates. We should have looked to do something better with our set pieces. Now, we definitely did miss our chances at the Emirates, and Jesus should have done better. But set pieces are a massive difference to what we've seen since Dubai. They've definitely improved. Gabriel, he's getting up and he's scoring goals left, right, and centre at the moment. It's mad. Gabriel, I think he's actually in the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's got the most goals as a centre back in the Premier League. That's fantastic for us. Saliba likewise getting up now. Honestly, I do feel like this has been something that needs to be highlighted more and has only just been highlighted this weekend, but actually has been happening since we got back against Crystal Palace. We scored 3 goals, was it, from set pieces? Or was it 2? Yeah, it was 2 in the end. So come on, man. Like, let's be real. Um, I love Yorkshire Pudding in the chat. This is brilliant. Maybe you'll be able to make my haters gonna hate comment. That's 2 things he did now. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Here we go. Yorkshire Pudding. He wants some attention, so let's give him some attention. Mate, no offense. Arsenal don't scare anyone. Listen, this is more a question than a statement. Some people are saying that Arsenal have looked better and that Arsenal was starting to scare teams. I'm not, but that's what people are saying. Yorkshire Pudding. One good corner and comparisons with Beckham. Really? AFTV settings. It's brilliant, isn't it? I said if that was Beckham, everyone would be talking about it. Oh, he's been comparing to Beckham. It's brilliant. I mean, like, listen, take what I say and twist it if you want, bro. But how about just listen and not get rattled? That'd be good. So there we go. Set pieces have improved at Arsenal 100%, right? When we were over in Dubai as well, I think our style of play has completely and utterly changed. We were so negative at times. And there were so many people that were saying that the reason we were doing it is because Mikel Arteta doesn't want to exhaust us until the last 8, 9 games of the season. So that's why we're a lot more controlled. Maybe. But if that is the truth, then potentially that's cost us then. Because by playing that style of football, we have dropped points at Fulham home and away, not been able to beat West Ham, not been able to go to Anfield and win yet again, not been able to win the North London derby at home, not been able to go to Stamford Bridge and win. And there's probably another result I'm missing as well. Oh, yeah, there's 2. Villa, loss, and St James's Park, loss. And none of those games that I've mentioned, we looked free-flowing or attacking in, other than maybe the West Ham game at home. So this controlled football that we've been trying to implement has actually not really worked, in my opinion. Having said that, we ain't really played amazingly well this season. We haven't really been ultimately convincing. And somehow, Man City and Liverpool are within touching distance. So how good have they actually been? Question mark. What would it be like if Arsenal were the Arsenal of last season? So I personally feel like it's a good thing that we haven't really been at our best and we're still within touching distance, because it means that if we can turn it on in the latter part of the season, like we're starting to see and like we saw at the start of last season, then we have a real chance of giving this a crack. Now, do I think Arsenal are going to win the league? No, absolutely I don't. And I'll come on to why in a minute. But do I think Arsenal are going to be in a title race? Yeah, I always thought that. When we dropped off and I said, maybe we're going to be in a top 4 race at this rate, we turned it back on. And I kind of expected us to turn it back on at some point, right? I think we're better than most of the teams in the league. So that means we're going to be in a title race. I don't think we're going to be dragged into a top 4 race with Villa, Spurs, United, Newcastle, etc. I've never said that. But I do think that we can come first, second, or third in any order. But I do think there is a 3-horse race here. I really do. And I hope that I am proven wrong and that Arsenal win this title. Of course I do. I just don't see it. We're playing a lot more free-flowing. But what really impressed me yesterday was the manager. And I don't often give him credit. And there's often times I criticise him. But I think I'm fair and unbalanced when I give him credit. And he deserves credit yesterday. And the reason he deserves credit is because when I saw us line up and tactically saw us start, I had my reservations because I weren't sure what I was going to see. But quite quickly, I was confident that it was working. I saw Ben White inverting on the right-hand side. Brilliant. Don't let Kivior do it because he can't. Why does it always have to be the left back? It doesn't. Let's do it with the right back. Ben White is better inverting, let's be real, than a lot of the players we got. Then I saw Trossard and then Havertz linking in and out of possession and interchanging. Really hard to defend against, man. Who's your man? Well, it was Havertz a minute ago, but he's now gone somewhere, so I'll have to pick up this dude. Oh, now Trossard's gone left and Martinelli's cut through the middle here. Oh, my God, Martinelli's on the side of Saka. What's he doing over on the right-hand side? It was phenomenal, man. It couldn't keep up with it myself. So what were West Ham thinking? And we absolutely roasted them. Defensively, they were a shambles yesterday. And don't get me wrong, This weren't, oh my God, oh, how did Arsenal beat them 6-0? West Ham was so good. West Ham was shambles, right? But let's be real. We actually did have quite a lot of respect given to our way yesterday. And I thought it was nice to hear for the first time. So, yeah, I was well impressed with what I saw from us tactically. And I thought Mikel Arteta actually did deserve a lot of credit yesterday. Then we come on to the other performances that I mentioned yesterday on my fan cam about how Declan Rice came into the game, how Saka came into the game, and how Martinelli came into the game. But let's not just look at yesterday. Let's look at it individually and as a team in the last few games. Martin Odegaard has been playing some of the best football in the last few games. Martinelli has come into his own. Saka has come back into form. Why is that, do we think? And this is what I kept saying to people. Oh, they're having a terrible season, your front four. They look terrible. Maybe they were one-hit wonders. No, it's our style, mate. It can't be the style. It's 4 players that can't do it. No, that's exactly the reason why it is the style and it isn't them individually. Now we're starting to see a little bit more free-flowing. What's happening? Trossard in the false 9 is scoring. Havertz in the 9 is scoring. Saka is scoring again. Martinelli is scoring again. Odegaard is assisting and scoring again. Funny that. We've changed our style of play and our front four start delivering. We've scored now 5 against Palace, 6 against West Ham, 3 against Liverpool and 2 against Forest. And people are saying to me, oh, it wasn't a style of play thing. Absolutely, it was a style of play thing. Now I look at the actual players that have really impressed me in the last few, and I'm starting to have question marks and competition of places. I haven't had that all season. We knew what our 11 was, and the bench was clearly a bench. Now, does Trossard deserve more games? Yes. Does Havertz deserve to be at least mentioned more than he was? Yes. But is it fair to say that Smith Rowe can get a little bit more game time? Yeah, it is. From the bench? Yeah, it is. Is it fair to say that Jorginho can come into the mix in certain games that potentially he wouldn't have been thought about in the last few? Yes, it is. And we've still got Tomiyasu to come back. We've still got Timber to come back. We've still got Thomas Partey to come back. We've still got Zinchenko. We've still got Gabriel Jesus and Fabi Vieira. So therefore, we actually have some players there that would either start or be good impact players. Because Partey and Jesus start. Tomiyasu and Timber, there's question marks over where they would actually play in the first team and that they could actually force their way into that as well. So there's some good things happening at the moment at Arsenal. We need to just be real. We need to praise it and we need to criticize it. And there's nothing wrong with having concerns when you're winning. And there's nothing wrong with having praise when you're losing and positives when you're losing. It can be both for every game. I heard Saka come out yesterday in an interview and actually be negative and say, disappointed with my performance. He got man of the match. Oh, I missed some chances though. Elite mentality. Sometimes when you win, it isn't, we won, get over it, move on to the next one. Who cares? No, actually look at the game, analyze it, see what you liked about it, see what you didn't like, look at where you can improve. That's what all the best do. You think Pep Guardiola goes, yeah, bored of winning here, or does he actually look at it and go, right, how can I win by more? How can I try and chase the quadruple? How can I try and do another treble? How can I do a back-to-back 4 times? How can I go and do a season unbeatable? That's what he'll be looking at. He's got elite mentality. All of these players do. And the fans, some of them don't. Oh, well, we've got a top 4, that'll do. Oh, well, we've got Champions League, doesn't matter. I hear so many fans that say, well, if Pep Guardiola stays at Man City, no one will ever win the league. Wrong. Jurgen Klopp did. Antonio Conte did. Both of those managers won the league with Pep Guardiola as the Manchester City manager. The Manchester United manager in Alex Ferguson, Sir Alex Ferguson was winning it every year. Do you think Arsenal sat there and went, oh, well, second it is for a few years? No. Arsene Wenger won 3 Premier League titles, man. When Sir Alex Ferguson was at the top, just like Pep, when he had the most money available to him, just like Pep, when he was one of the best teams in the world, just like Pep, Arsene Wenger managed to go and win 3 Premier League titles. When Pep Guardiola is the equivalent of Sir Alex Ferguson, is there winning titles. So let's not start looking at that as a defeatist attitude, because that is a real defeatist attitude to me. Somebody sitting there saying that Arsenal can't win because of Pep Guardiola. Come on, let's just be real. There is absolutely no way that happened. So that's the defeated attitude. I remember being really upset in 2003 where we threw the league title away against Leeds United. The week later, we were playing Southampton in the FA Cup, not Wembley, it was Millennium Stadium back then in Cardiff. And I remember we won, Pires scored, and I remember going mental. And I remember thinking, it's another double we should have won and we haven't. That was the mentality back then. Growing up, we were spoiled, man. Absolutely spoiled in the 90s and the 2000s earlys. Yeah. Now we've had decades without winning European Cups, Premier League titles, not got near a Champions League, and it's like just keep competing. Nah, man, keep winning. It should always be the absolute aim: win trophies. That needs to be the standard. None of this. Well, top four's good. Be our first year in the Champions League. If we go out, won't matter. We'll give it another crack next year. Giving it another crack every year means you go 20, 30, 40, 50 years without winning a trophy. Just ask Newcastle, just ask West Ham, just ask Spurs, just ask all those clubs that have failed to win trophies year in, year out. Don't go to the Chelseas. They're laughing with their trophy cabinet. So are Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, etc. But I tell you what you can do is you can ask Liverpool, Man United, and Arsenal what it's like to go this long without winning a Premier League title. Liverpool went 30 years. It's been a decade now, or over a decade since United won it. It's been 2 decades since Arsenal have won it. Manchester City and Chelsea have cleared up in the last few. So we have to be real and just say it how it is. As far as Arsenal were concerned, what do we have coming up? We have some very winnable games, guys. Very, very winnable games. Burnley away should be 3 points. We play like we did against West Ham. We will be absolutely fine against Burnley. We have Newcastle at home. Difficult task. Couldn't beat them at home last season. Eddie Howe had a game plan. He got the 0-0 that he played for, and he went away with a point and he was happy. Can't let that happen this time. It needs to be 3 points. The way they're playing, they're leaking some goals. They don't quite look themselves. They've had some real severe injury problems. Looks like Alexander Isak could be out for a few weeks as well, which is obviously a bonus for Arsenal because he's a great player, probably their best player in my opinion. So I think we should be getting 3 points there. Sheffield United away, 3 points. Should be an easy game. We should not be going to places like Burnley and Sheffield United going, don't know if we're going to get 3 points today. Shouldn't be even in a title race if you're thinking like that. Has to be 3 points. Then we've got Brentford at home. Brentford have got Ivan Toney. They're looking like they can score, but they're not looking like they can go and get 3 points convincingly at the moment. Now, I know they won at the weekend, that it was a really good result, and they're definitely going to be fine for safety in terms of relegation, but Brentford can be a really hard side. They really can. But let's be real. Brentford at home should be winning. But, and there is a huge but, we didn't beat them last year at home either, like Newcastle. If you remember, it was basically a year to the day that Lee Mason got sacked for not putting the Lions on the VAR, where we should have won that game. But we didn't. We drew 1-1 in the end. So we need to go there at Burnley and Sheffield United and take 6 points away. And we need to take 6 points at home against Newcastle and Brentford. And then we've got Porto home and away in the mix for that as well, which of course will make things different in terms of the rotation of the squad. But I don't want to be seeing no B team players playing in the Champions League. And that's no disrespect to the players like Emil Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson. But when they're lining up against Sporting Lisbon last season, I kind of expect us to potentially go out. I don't expect us to go out of this Champions League against Porto. And if we do, it's been an absolute failure. Yeah? Because they are not better than Arsenal on paper, and they're not better a team as Arsenal. So for me, it's an absolute failure if we lose to Porto. We have to go through. And then we've got a little bit of a break going up to the Etihad. Etihad's a must-win game. But it's only must-win if we win those 4. We lose a few of those games that I've just spoken about. We ain't going to have to worry about going to the Etihad and winning because the title will be done. So we need to make sure that Etihad actually means something to us, right? And the way that we're playing at the moment, it does fill you with a bit more confidence. It doesn't when we go to Fulham and lose. It doesn't when we go to West Ham at the Emirates and we lose. But actually, when we go to West Ham and win 6-0, when we convincingly beat Liverpool, when we manage to get past Forest and Palace quite convincingly, that starts to give you a little bit more confidence and build some momentum going into the games against Porto, Burnley's aways, Brentford's at homes, etc. But when we go to the Etihad, what I would love and pray and hope is we actually have a fully fit squad, because the last 2 seasons, we've had to go there without Partey and Jesus. We've had to go there without Saliba, Tomiyasu and Jesus. And we've had to go there at home a few times without those players as well. Manchester City played us without Rodri, but we had no Saka. So this time when we go to the Etihad, I actually want to see some players that are actually fit. Yeah, an actual first fully fit side that we can say, right, this is our best 11. Let's play against Man City's best 11. Let the best team win. That's what I want to see happening, yeah? 100%. Because for me, when you look at Etihad, one of the hardest places to go alongside Anfield for me. If they go and win there, it's a statement win. And people are then looking at Arsenal going, they could win this, you know. They could win this title. And then, of course, it gets more difficult. Our run in April and May isn't great. Yeah, it really isn't. We've got, I think it's Chelsea at home, Wolves away, Brighton away, Tottenham away, Villa at home. And then we go into the last few games, which is penultimate game, I think, is Man United at Old Trafford. And then we end on Everton at home, which, to be fair, could be massive for them if they're down in the relegation fight. So this is going to be a mental end to the season. Liverpool's fixtures are fairly hard as well, like Arsenal's. Manchester City's last 7 or 8 are all winnable. They really are. So that's why we've got to be top. We've got to be top notch the whole way through this. So I feel we will look back and we'll say the reason Arsenal didn't win this league was because their squad wasn't strong enough again. And I think it's clear where we're not strong enough. We've got 7 injuries at the moment, so of course our bench is going to look weak. But we need to upgrade on some of these players now. And in the summer, I just think it has to be done. There's no more time. There's no more excuses with this now. It has to be a better squad. Yeah. This isn't me moaning and being negative. We just won 6-0. Of course, I'm happy. This is me having concerns about our future and our actual proper, genuine chances of winning a title. And when you've got Eddie and Ketia, but you could have an Ivan Toney, you need to get an Ivan Toney. When you've got a Reece Nelson and you should have or could have a Pedro Neto, you've got to go get a Pedro Neto. When you're having Cedric on the bench, or you've got one of your centre halves like Kivior on the bench, it needs to be a Diamande from Sporting Lisbon instead. Yeah. And in midfield, I would rather have Zubamendi and Yusuf Fofana than Jorginho and El Neni. This is just facts. It's not like, oh, that could happen, that might happen. I might disagree, I might agree. You're all going to be agreeing that you want upgrades on those players. Cedric shouldn't be on the bench. El Neni shouldn't be on the bench. Ben Rada, was it? Ben Dara? He shouldn't be on the bench. Raul Waters should not be on the bench. To be fair, Ethan Nwaneri, big up to him, man. Thought he played really, really well. I thought he came on and looked comfortable. Thought he looked calm. Thought he looked mature in his performance. But should he really be on the bench coming on? Not unless it's a Carabao Cup game for me. Not when you're going for a title. Now, I know a lot of people sit there and say that they love seeing the kids come. I love it as well. I love seeing the kids come through and do well. But not when you're going for a title. When you're in a couple game or in the group stages of the Europa League, it's different. We ain't in that anymore. We ain't about that anymore. We ain't going for those trying to win, those cups with under 18s and B team players. We need to see more than that, man. So that's where I'm at. That's where Arsenal are at right now. And I think it is really key to see where Arsenal are going to go in this summer transfer window. Striker has to be, midfield has to be, centre back has to be, and we need to get somebody to replace Bukayo Saka. And that's if we keep in players. All of those players need to be upgraded upon. Yeah, I don't want to add any more players. We've got enough players. We just need to replace some of them with better quality. That's where I'm at. So big up to everybody for listening. Big up to everyone for watching. Make sure you do me a favor. Like this video, please. What are we on now? Let's have a look likewise. Likes, we're on 92. Let's get that way over to 100, please, people. There's 250 people in here. I'm sure we can do that. Let's make sure that we get that up to over 100. All you've got to do is hit the like button, the thumbs up. If you still want to keep the chat open, all you got to do is cross the chat, hit the like, and then hit the chat back up. Make sure you subscribe. That's all you got to do. 2 buttons. They're absolutely free. One of them says like, which is that. The other one says subscribe. Hit the subscribe. And if you do want to join as a member, then you can do and support the channel that way. But the most important thing for me is like and subscribe. So make sure that we do that, please, people. Look at that. And just like that, we're over 100 likes. Absolute legends. Thanks so much for the support. That really means a lot, man, when you like the video. Trust me, and it's absolutely free. So it's the least that you can all do, surely, to show your appreciation. So make sure that you do that. The other thing I want you to do is hit the bell, the notification bell. Why? Don't normally ask people to do this, but I'm going to ask you to do it because tonight at 8 p.m. is a show you do not want to miss. Tonight at 8 p.m. is the Race for Europe show, which means that we have all of the Premier League influencers talking about their clubs, representing those that are either fighting for European football or are currently in the European competitions. And one of those is, of course, West Ham, which means Dan Lawless is going to be on the show later on tonight, 8 p.m., and he is getting cooked. But not just myself, by Tobes who's coming on. It will be by Maz who's coming on. It will be by Dan United who's coming on. Errol, our Liverpool rep, is coming on. Pete, our Newcastle fan, is coming on. We will all be there to look and laugh at Dan Lawless and West Ham fans that are crying and are salty and that still can't get over the fact we beat them 6-0, that still can't get over the fact that Declan Rice is in an Arsenal shirt. It will be beautiful. So make sure you're there, people. Set your reminders. 8 p.m. this evening In 4 hours' time, there's going to be a roasting, there's going to be a cooking, and it's going to be biblical. Make sure you're there, people. Smash a like for me on the way out. Hit the subscribe button to get us up to 20K. And we'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. Latest, people.